Were you curious about the Winter Soldier storyline from the comics? Let's start our Captain America history right here. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Don't forget to support this great industry by picking up these books that you enjoy online or at your local comic book store. Now keep in mind, this is a very old storyline from around 2004, so the timeline is old. It has nothing to do with current day events. Our story begins in Russia, where the Red Guardian has been captured by a man named General Lucan. After a brief interrogation, he's disposed of so that they can get back to the weapons deal that he was having with the Red Skull himself. Lucan is selling off various items that used to be owned by his predecessor, General Karpov, for his own secret purposes. One item is of interest to the Red Skull, a man in a stasis chamber, but that item is not for sale, unless Red Skull can trade Lucan the Cosmic Cube. Red Skull confesses that the Cosmic Cube is not in his possession, and even if it was, he would not trade such power for anything in the world. Years later in New York City, the Red Skull looks out the window from a tall building drinking a glass of wine with the Cosmic Cube finally back in his possession. With this item, he can now unleash an attack that will cause chaos in the world, and Captain America, his oldest foe, will bear witness to Red Skull's most devious plan. With the Avengers disassembled and Hawkeye dead, Captain America is at a low point in his life, and the Red Skull plans to take full advantage of that. While Captain America is in training in his home, he is visited by his newly assigned S.H.I.E.L.D. liaison, Sharon Carter, Agent 13. She is there to see how he is handling all of these changes in his life, including the escape of Red Skull. They talk about a recent mission in Coney Island, where they acted very reckless by taking out a helicopter and gravely injuring several terrorists. He handled the operation far too recklessly, causing more harm than good, and Steve tells Sharon that he's okay, but she doesn't believe him. The terrorists that attacked Coney Island were agents of an offshoot of AIM, and S.H.I.E.L.D. will let him know if they learn anything more about their motives. As Sharon leaves, Captain America's thoughts linger on the Red Skull, hoping to bring him to justice once again. But the Red Skull is not far off. He is in disguise, secretly watching Steve Rogers. Red Skull ponders their own rivalry over these last years in his building, and he relishes what is going to come next, when suddenly he receives a call from General Lucan. The Red Skull confirms that the Cosmic Cube is back in his possession, though it is unstable and he is making plans to fix it. But he still refuses to part with the cube, and he's honestly offended by Lucan's insistence. And then a bullet shatters the glass window, and the Red Skull drops to the floor with the Cosmic Cube in hand. A mysterious figure walks into the Red Skull's room, and he finishes the phone call with General Lucan, informing him that the cube is now in his possession, and the Red Skull is no trouble at all. In fact, he is dead. Steve Rogers wakes up in the middle of the night from a bad dream where he sees Bucky, his one-time sidekick, dying from a bullet wound. But this is not how Bucky died. Before Steve can figure out what his dream means, he is called by Agent 13 and told to go to the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. Once on board, he's briefed of the alleged death of Red Skull. Nick Fury needs to be sure, so he takes a DNA sample from Steve Rogers because the Red Skull's current body is actually a clone of Steve Rogers. After taking the sample, the S.H.I.E.L.D. trio of Steve, Nick, and Sharon all go to the scene of the killing. Once there, they find the Red Skull's cell phone and a strange containment case that has open feeds on it, which they are able to track to the tunnels underneath Manhattan. Quick as can be, Agent 13 and Captain America go track the signal. While this is normally a job that Captain America can handle alone, he gets Sharon to confess that she is with him because Nick Fury thinks that Cap may have killed the Red Skull. Mistrust is everywhere, and it's getting on Steve's nerves. Cap then sneaks up on a lackey on the site. The lackey has an armband that says AID, which stands for Advanced Ideas in Destruction, and he works for Red Skull. Before they can analyze the situation more, AID lackeys arrive and a firefight breaks out. Of course, Captain America is too much for them, and he quickly handles the opposition, and it appears that their leader, Crossbones, escaped unknown to Agent 13 and Cap. However, they do see that the AID members were about to set off a firebomb, so Captain America has to quickly dismantle it. Why would the Red Skull want to firebomb New York City? Was it just another mad plan? As Sharon calls in for a S.H.I.E.L.D. team to analyze the WMD, Nick Fury informs her that they discovered that the item there was actually a containment unit for the Cosmic Cube, and the Red Skull's mystery assassin now has it. The S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier is jetting across the Atlantic Ocean in hopes of stopping more of Red Skull's chaos. Using technology to track energy signatures from their Cosmic Cube containment device, they find that there is a connection to Paris, France, so Captain America and Agent 13 are on board to intercept. On a separate mission, Union Jack leads a strike force into the London tube system in search of another AID firebomb. However, by the time that they all arrive, the AID lackeys are dead along with other military personnel, and the bomb is missing. As Captain America America arrives in France, they locate an AIM hoverjet preparing to escape with what is presumably another WMD. Cap is determined to take it down, and he leaps out of their hovercar and assaults the hoverjet with a handy explosive device, and with the skills of a super soldier, he single-handedly takes it down. He then proceeds to dismantle the AIM thugs on board. They soon learn that these members of AIM are a separate entity from whatever the Red Skull's team was, and Nick Fury informs them that the DNA test checked out that it was indeed the Red Skull who was assassinated, but their intelligence leaves them with another dead end. At a standstill, Fury grants Sharon and Steve some R&R in Paris while they wait for some more information. Meanwhile, back in the United States and Pennsylvania, in a quiet little bar, the one-time partner of Captain America, Jack Monroe, watches Cap's exploits on TV. As he leaves the bar in a drunken haze, a mysterious figure asks him if he's Jack Monroe, and then shoots him in the chest, killing him. The mysterious man throws the corpse in the trunk of a car for reasons unknown. Back in New York, General Lucan speaks with his assassin. Everything is going according to plan for Lucan with the cosmic cube in his hands, and his car pulls up to Roxxon with plans to take over an energy conglomerate. Back in Brooklyn, where Steve is back stateside, he receives a call from Nick Fury about a US military matter that he wants Captain America to check out. They aren't sure if it's related to the Red Skull's assassination, but it's a coincidence that relates to Captain America. So Cap calls Tony Stark for a jet that he can fly to Washington, D.C. And after a phone call, Nick Fury meets with Agent 13 for a private briefing. New intelligence has cropped up in the form of the rifle that was used to kill the Red Skull being found in an airport. However, clean fingerprints were found on it, and they belonged to none other than Jack Monroe, who was once Bucky in the 1950s as well as a partner to Captain America. The years have not been so kind to Jack, so it isn't surprising that he might go off on his own and kill the Red Skull. All of this seems far too convenient for Nick Fury though, so he decides to send in Agent 13 to track down Jack with an old tracking device that he implanted in Jack years ago when he worked with S.H.I.E.L.D. It's older technology, so it requires her personal touch to track him down, and when she locates him, she's supposed to keep a safe distance because of his mental state being known to be volatile. In Washington, D.C., Captain America visits Arlington National Cemetery where he finds 2 headstones desecrated by bullets. The headstones belong to William Nussland, the Spirit of 76, and Jeffrey Mace, the Patriot. Steve Rogers reminisces about these 2 men and who they were in his life. They both took up the mantle of Captain America while Steve was in a deep freeze. This is clearly a shot at Captain America, but who would do such a thing and why? As Cap drives away on his motorcycle, he ponders this mystery, and he's soon being shot at from the highway. He realizes that this whole thing was a setup to drive him out into the open, and he's now being attacked by none other than Crossbones. As they do combat on the highway, Captain America begins to get overwhelmed by inaccurate memories of the past involving Baron Zemo and Bucky. He can't get his head into the fight, and Crossbones continues to pummel him over and over. Crossbones is not impressed and sees this as being unworthy of his skills, and his revenge for the death of Red Skull would not be satisfied fighting Cap in this state. When Cap accuses Crossbones of desecrating the graves, he denies that it was him and that he was tipped off by a Russian. Crossbones then leaves Captain America in the middle of the road to continue pondering this mystery in a pool of his own blood. Back in Philadelphia, Agent Carter has tracked down where Jack Monroe is. She thinks he's hiding out in a building, so she goes to investigate, and as she sneaks into the building, she is suddenly knocked out by a man with a metal fist. Back on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, Captain America meets with Nick Fury for an intelligence briefing. Nick Fury pulled some strings and discovered that one of the dead military personnel from the London tunnel attack was an ex-Russian military soldier who was in a regiment that was controlled by General Lucan and is now the head of the Cronus Corporation. While the name doesn't ring any bells for Captain America, Nick informs him that Lucan was a protege of another Russian general named Karpov. Steve immediately recognizes that name because Karpov and him had history from World War II. Captain America proceeds to tell the story of an operation that he shared with Karpov at the city of Cronus, which is a village near Stalingrad, in 1942. During this operation, the invaders fought against Red Skull and Masterman. The town was destroyed from the encounter due to the villainous Red Skull booby-trapping a very powerful weapon. However, at the end of the story, what Steve doesn't know is that Karpov found Lucan as a young boy who had lost his whole family to the destruction of the super soldiers waging war in his home. Is this some sort of revenge that Karpov is after? Even though he's long dead, perhaps he too is enacting some plan from beyond the grave. But Captain America came to inform Fury that someone is manipulating his memories, maybe with the cosmic cube. So Cap's plan is to borrow a S.H.I.E.L.D. transport to make sure that his memories are still functioning. Fury grants it, but Steve won't tell him where he's going. As he leaves, Fury sits at his desk mulling over what has just happened with a classified file on his desk titled Winter Soldier. Underneath Philadelphia, the mysterious assassin with a metal hand is setting up an explosive device. He is on the phone with General Lucan, telling him that the bomb is ready and from the corpse of their scapegoat, Jack Monroe is in position. His last order of business is tied up in the back of the car. Agent 13, and he's about to take care of that. Back at the helicarrier, Fury is talking to Neil Tapper, another agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. who is concerned about Sharon because she hasn't reported back in 24 hours. While Fury trusts that she is alright, Tapper used to date Sharon Carter and he's worried, and he wants to go look for her in Philly. Fury allows him to go with the search team that is already looking for her, and Captain America arrives at the English Channel to relive his memories and to see if his death is still his reality. While he looks through the site to see where Bucky and him were captured, he has very real memories that allow him to relive the past and the scene of his and Bucky's death. While nothing happens at the site, he knows that someone is manipulating his memories, and the culprit has to be Lucan and the Cosmic Cube. But why? As he gets back to the S.H.I.E.L.D. jet, he's suddenly hit with a flash in his head of Sharon Carter being captured in Philadelphia, so he commands the jet to fly back to the States as fast as possible. Quick as he can be, he is back in the States parachuting onto a building where Sharon is supposedly being held. He dispatches the guards that are watching her and he frees her. However, Sharon tells him that this was all a setup, because she knows that he was led here by the Cosmic Cube. Sharon also saw the man that may have killed the Red Skull, and she thinks it's Bucky Barnes, Captain America's old sidekick. In the distance, the mysterious assassin is revealed with his full metal arm and a Soviet star branded on the shoulder. He is holding a sniper rifle with a clear shot at Captain America, but Lucan commands him not to take that shot. Instead, he must fulfill his mission, and with that, the assassin pulls the trigger of a remote detonator. In a giant explosion rocking the middle of Philadelphia, Agent 13 and Captain America are forced to look on from the distance. At the site of the explosion, S.H.I.E.L.D. agents along with Neil Tapper find the bomb, but it is too late, and they are at ground zero and they are killed. Lucan wanted him to see this, to see his failure to protect these people. And then off in the distance, a plane flies away, and on board is General Lucan, holding the Cosmic Cube, confident in his victory over Captain America and the United States. This is the volume 1 of the actual trade paperback, and next week we'll be doing volume 2. Hope you guys enjoyed, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian and Instagram at Comicstorian. And I'll see you next time right here.